got going on. It's going to be called the Birmingham Open Fly. It was called.
Talking about a bird that you've never flown.
Right.
Richard said, look, I want you to take this bird. He's first of all, close your eyes. I don't want you to look at it. I just want you to feel this bird.
Right.
And I grabbed the bird. I'm like, okay. He said, now feel this one. And I said, damn, that's how different it was. He said, if you close your eyes and you had Arnold Schwarzenegger and you had John Candy in the same room, and you did like this, you'd know who was Arnold, you'd know who was John Candy, because they're not built the same.
Exactly.
Well, the same thing with the birds. When you take a bird that is constructed, that is a muscle bird, a muscle cock, from the nest, he's literally the same size as his parents, his father, fully grown. And that's a squab that's never flown. What? And he has all the muscle of a baby, as a baby. That is genetic muscle.
So what was that then? So that's considered breeding a breeder?
Exactly. That's breeding a breeder opposed to taking a flyer from the air and making him a breeder.
Gotcha.
See, Richard's philosophy, he doesn't do that. It's crazy, but again, with his family, and again, you can tell me anything. Show me, I'll believe you. And he showed me, because look, he was like, I saw velocity and velocity across the board in a family that you just couldn't believe. How can you make everything that fast? I don't mean 90% of them. I mean all of them. They that fast. Now get this, the crazy thing. He said, okay, I'm gonna give you these cocks. He gave me these cock birds. And I said, okay. I said, and I've got hens. And I asked him, which hens do I put with the cocks? He told me the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. You know what he said? It doesn't matter. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? He said, it doesn't matter. Because those cocks are all muscle cocks. The hens contribute to the role, but no more than the cocks. No more. He said, the hens don't matter. Put any one of the hens I gave you to the cocks. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try it. I randomly, with no thought to it, put them down, bred them, flew the kits. Stunned.
All the cocks are Arnold Schwarzenegger?
All the cocks are Arnold Schwarzenegger. He doesn't breed from a line of muscle cocks. Every mating has to be from a muscle cock. That is his philosophy. Some people breed from a line of muscle cocks. The father was a muscle cock, so these are all his sons. Those sons aren't muscle cocks. If your father was a rocket scientist and your mother was a rocket scientist, does that mean you're gonna be one? No, you could be an idiot. The point is, if every single mating is bred from a muscle cock and a hen that is a wedge hen, guess what? The babies from that, what they do, they carry genetic muscle from the father and they take the form of the mother. One thing that Richard taught me again that blew me away, I went to his house and I saw his birds and I noticed half of his kit, the tails were just frayed and tore up. And I couldn't figure out why. Right, but it's only in half of the birds, but the birds all roll with the same speed. So I'm like, how is it only half of them, their tails are messed up? That makes no sense. So he didn't even know why. And it took me probably 4 months, almost 5 months. But one night I'm laying there in bed and I started to have a dream. And you know what the dream was about? Have you ever dreamt about birds? I do all the time. So I do. Look. And I'm trying to figure out why is it that half of his kit, the tails are ragged, just sticks, not feathers, sticks, where the feathers should be. Feathers, the quill is still in the body, but it's just a stick on the end. Couldn't figure it out. And I remember years back, there was a Ford commercial, and it was done in an air tunnel. And you see the smoke going around the window, going around the side. Bingo. Aerodynamics.
Look.
Get this. Hold on, let me finish it, because this what blew me away. The reason that the tails on half of his birds got burnt off is because they stuck out. The tip to tail ratio on half of his family was longer. The tails were longer. They all rolled the same speed, but the effect, because they were longer, it burnt off what was sticking out. The birds that didn't stick out, the wingtips and the tail were even, there was no fray. I told Richard, I figured out why your birds, only half of them are like that. He said, oh, that's an easy fix. I'm like, how in the hell is that an easy fix? 3 months later, I went back to Richard. Not a single bird in his kit had a frayed tail. You know why? This is what blew me away. He said, well, that is an easy fix because guess what? Hens dictate type. I'm like, what? He said, your hens dictate type. 90% of your birds that come out, the type is from your female portion of your birds. I'm like, how the fuck is that? Look, he showed me. He said, look in the kit. Tell me if you can find one bird with a tip-to-tail ratio that's off. And I couldn't, not one. This is only in 3 months. All he did, he took every single hen, made sure her tip-to-tail ratio was perfect, and he eliminated everything else that
So
didn't
you
have
saying
it.
the hen is never the main part of the breeding?
That's
not like your foundation hen. When people say foundation hen, there's no such thing as what you're saying?
No. If you have a foundation hen, that foundation hen definitely genetically is what's moved through your family. Okay, so I'll get a little deep. I'll get a little deep on you. I'll get a little deeper on you. This will bring it full circle. You ever heard of something called mitochondrial DNA? So DNA is deoxynucleic acid. DNA, okay, is in the cell. Male DNA and female DNA, mitochondrial DNA, all have it. But one thing, all DNA mutates, which means it changes from one to the other to the other to the other. DNA mutates. There's only one DNA that does not mutate. Guess what it is? Female mitochondrial DNA. Females dictate the structure of your birds. The DNA are the building blocks for cells. So moving forward, you look at your females, you can dictate what your birds will look like, period. That's why he was able to change that family in 3 months. He took all his muscle cocks, right, he took all of his muscle cocks, right, and he put them to hens that had the type that he wanted. That type was tip-to-tail ratio perfect, right?
Tip-to-tail ratio perfect.
Exactly.
That is on that or muscle cock.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the cocks could be off, they could be long, they could be short, it doesn't matter. Because they're not dictating the type. The hens are.
So what did he do at first to make him have them?
He didn't pay attention to it at all. He paid attention to the type of the hens, but he never looked at the tail.
What does the tip-to-tail ratio actually really mean?
So you have a bird's tail and tip of the wings are together, right? Their tail sticks out, say, an inch to 1.5 inches. So they have an off tip-to-tail ratio. The tip of their wings and their tail, when they line up, that is a tip-to-tail ratio. So tip-to-tail gives you balance, it gives you aerodynamism, right? There's no drag. So what creates that roll and what creates the smoothness of that roll? There is no drag. There's nothing sticking out. You ever seen a bird that'll roll and then it turns sideways, it'll switch wings? Okay, when a bird turns, there's something that's making them turn. A lot of times, because their tail is off, there's feathers missing, whatever, guess what? That bird will roll differently because you take a bird, you pull his tail out and watch how he rolls different than he did with his tail. Compensating.
Okay.
And when you give him better balance by lining everything up, yeah, you're gonna make that bird faster because guess what? There's no drag. There's nothing slowing him down. There's nothing slowing him down. The reason that Ford commercial stuck out of my mind, the reason you put cars in an air tunnel and they put that smoke is because they want to see as little variation in it as possible.
Yeah, how it cuts through.
You remember the Ford Taurus? Go back to the old Fords. There were squares, there were boxes. So when it goes to the air tunnel, there's all kinds of. When you go to the new Ford Taurus, it was streamlined. It's streamlining that bird for aerodynamic flight and movement. That's what it is. And that's what Richard did along with muscle. Because again, if you have a bird that has muscle, if a bird has too much muscle, it's going to stop the bird. It's going to stop it. It can control it. That's why you have to have that balance. It's a constant balance. It's not a one-time shot. Because Richard has bred birds and I've bred birds that literally had too much muscle. And guess what? It stopped it.